Is there music coming from somewhere? I don't hear what you guys are hearing. I'm about to start the show, but what are you guys hearing? I'm looking at I don't think I'm playing anything. Well, okay, there's no music, so why are you guys talking about your ears? What the Sam fucking hell? Are you guys fucking with me? I will fucking burn you alive. All right, 1 second. Welcome to Cabinet Games for the 20th of March 2023. I appreciate y'all being here. Welcome to the Monday. It's a good one. Well, listen, I'm going to tell you guys something before we get in. I'm not going to do politics on this show. I don't do politics anymore. I've finally learned my lesson on that, but I will tell you a couple things briefly. Tomorrow, shit may go crazy because in America, there's pretty good word that Donald Trump is going to be indicted, possibly arrested. He says if that happens, he's going to surrender peacefully, but come on now. Who the fuck knows? So I don't know what's going to go on. Tomorrow may be a show over on the other channel just because if the country's fallen apart and the Civil War has officially begun, I'll be talking about that, of course. But short of that, it's good to see you. Man, What a week. What a week in video games. What a weekend in video games. There's a lot to talk about today. I want to do a couple of very quick things first. A couple of very quick things first. You guys in the chat saying that he's not getting arrested. I'm not saying that the man, look, you know what I think of Donald Trump. That's irrelevant. It's not the point of the show. I'm just saying that right now, all signs are pointing to them saying he is going to be arrested. And I'm not saying you're happy or sad or elated about that. I'm just saying that there are people who are on the internets right now saying we have to surround Mar-a-Lago tomorrow and prevent law enforcement from going in and getting him. Well, you know how Trump is. Shit could go south real fast, good or bad. But anyway, I'm just letting you know. Okay. Nuke Sony is laughing. He's a Civil War. Really, dude? Laugh my massive fucking ass off. I think that's what the extra M is in there for. Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, it seems like there's a lot of people who want it. It doesn't matter. Let's talk about video games because there's a lot to talk about. The very top of the show, though, I have to give a shout out to my good friends who really help support this show at the highest level. Adam, I got it. I'll get to it in just a little bit. We are going to be talking about the day. The God of Wars of the Here and Now, the superhero team, the Avengers of Gabbin' Games, Logan the Lurker, Captain Geach, Rotten Tanuki, Zach Procrastinates, Alex Plocks, who did that wonderful cover of Rumble City, LA, Quake Zone, I forget what we named it, has a bunch of great albums over on YouTube. He does all the music for the show, except when I rip off the music from copyrighted bands. And you can find that in the link tree below. And of course, the big bad Eddie Torres, the biggest, baddest game collector on the planet. I would put his collection up against your collection any day. The man is a veritable wealth of anything he sees that's called a game. It's going to end up in his collection. He's like the collector, like the Marvel Comics collector. As for what I was drinking, no, it wasn't soup. I have been in a obsessive craving mode as of late for pink lemonade. I don't know why, but I've just, it's replaced. I still have a Diet Coke here. I'm not a moron, but it's just, I'm obsessed with it. It just makes my soul happy. So anyway, that's what I'm drinking. People were asking. Look, here's what we're doing. It's a big week here at Gabbin' Games for members. I want to tell you what's coming down the line for members. I'm not trying to get you to be a member. I'd love for you to be a member. We'd welcome you with open arms and open vaginas and open, but whatever it is we have that can open. I don't have. Listen, can I tell you something first? We're going to get into this show, I promise. But I know there's a fetish for people, men, who like to stick things literally into their pee hole, right? Urethra is what it's called, urethra Franklin. And I don't judge whatever. But I went to a urologist once because we had I don't mean to stir up any triggering thoughts. We had a miscarriage when we tried to have our first kid, which is fairly common. And it was like 3 weeks in and my wife miscarried. So it wasn't like, it wasn't one of these terrible stories that a lot of parents are forced to endure. But I'm like, hey, maybe it's my sperm. So I go to a urologist. I said, hey, let's just, check everything out. And part of that checking out process is he says, I'm going to take this really long Q-tip and stick it in the hole. I'm like, all right. He goes, it's not going to be comfortable. I'm like, that's all right. I rarely get anesthesia when I get dental work. I can meditate through it. I enjoy that challenge. I tell you what, I never in my entire life felt pain like that. The reason we're on this subject, folks, is I have ADD. It is a video game show. Let's get into it. Here's what's happening with members this week. I just want to tell you. It's free for everyone to watch, but Thursday is a big day in streaming here with members only chat. The Developer's Choice, the Game Developer's Choice Awards, and the Independent Game Festival Awards live from GDC is going to be happening Wednesday, March 23rd. That kicks off at 6:30 p.m. If you're a member, you can chat and call in and shoot the shit as we watch these crazy motherfuckers get their kudos such as they are. Then there's the Future Game Show that same day. That'll be a members only chat event. It's always a weird good time because the Future Game Show is mostly PC, and you get really weird indie games. You get some great AA games. It's a good thing. It's a good time. That will be happening this coming Thursday as well. And that will be, I think, at 3:00. I'll give you all the details later. Those are member only chats. Now, look at that. Craig Hooligan stepping up. He says, hey, Grape King, here's a goddamn gifted sub. And he's going to be grateful because what I'm about to tell you is also coming up this week. And I will get to some of that, the super chats, but Craig Hooligan, thank you for that very, very fucking much. Appreciate it, baby. Listen to this now. I'm going to show you a trailer first. Now, I know, and I'll get that instant message. I'm going to show you a trailer right now, like 2 minutes. And chances are the beginning of it, you're going to go, But I want to tell you how this video game trailer relates to Gabbin' and Games and what's coming up pretty soon. Also, Jason Max, we will talk about Diablo on today's show. Instant Messenger, thank you for that very generous super chat. He says, Jaffe, have you watched the new story trailer of Jedi Survivor? I haven't yet, only because I haven't finished, surprise, surprise, the first one, which I enjoyed very much. I kind of know what happens at the end of the first one, but I keep telling myself I'm going to go back and finish it before Survivor drops. And in that case, I don't want to see the story trailer, but I hear it. I've seen like the opening 10 seconds on my Twitter stream, and then I, scroll away because I don't want to have it spoiled. But the opening looks fucking pretty good. Pretty fucking good. Okay. So, and then, yes, I will get to, Good Sir Adam, our members. Well, let me just get to it now. Adam says, Jaffe, did you see Spider? Thank you for being a member for 5 months, by the way, Adam. He said, you see Spider-Man 2 and maybe Wolverine, by the way, will feature brand new dialogue technology. What do you think they mean by that? I'm going to save that because we are talking about that on this very show. I have some theories and some ideas, but the high concept is nobody who's not working on the game in some capacity knows. But we'll get into that a little bit later in the show. And Adam, thank you for your support. I appreciate it, buddy. Watch this trailer, and then we'll talk about it on the other side.
I see you have woken from cryostasis. Welcome to the Black Hawk, the Kelosite Research Facility. Your mission. The team is waiting. These iBots will accompany you to keep you safe. Or perhaps they'll get you killed. They are unpredictable.
Well, look who's here. How do we even know we can trust him?
I vouch for him, Baxter.
Hey, I told you, I go by Axe now. Shut up.
The Zabanager has the most toxic blood in the galaxy, and these bastards are weaponizing her. We can't let that happen. Everyone split up. Let's see what we can find.
Please, I'm innocent. Let me go.
He's lying.
Your call.
Okay, so if you were just listening, what this is called Alien Rescue. It's from a company called Meta Movie. Now, if you're one of these people that can only play video games that look like brilliant, blazing, fast, and graphic next gen, this is not for you. This is not for you. But if you are interested in kind of really weird, cool, experimental ways of expressing game narrative, this could be really fucking cool. Okay. So here's what it is. Every weekend, there are real live actors that play 5, or actually probably lots of the characters, because there's more than just the ones that go with you, like the NPCs. And then there are the stars of the show, the heroes. There are 3 to 5 heroes, depending, and then there's up to 15 sidekicks. Okay, those are real people. Those are audience members that either have VR. I'll be playing it in VR this weekend. You can also play it on flat screen if you have a PC. But it is a live show. I will be streaming it for members only. So the only way to watch it is if it is if you're a member. Now, the other thing is I bought tickets today. Let me explain how this works, right? So I bought 3 hero tickets. I bought 1 sidekick ticket. The sidekicks, it says you can watch the performance from the perspective of a tiny eyebot that flies around the scene. You won't speak, but you will have more agency than you expect, and the cast will talk to you and treat you like one of them. There are 16 sideshow tickets per show. It's a great option for friends and groups. The price is a pay what you can donate, suggestion 10 to 20. Okay. So here's what we got going on coming up this Saturday. I have 4 tickets. 1 is for me. 3 are for members of Gabbin' and Games, and I have a sidekick, which is also for a member of Gabbin' and Games. So if this is interesting to you and you are free at 12:30 California time, this 11 to 12:30, sorry, 11 a.m. to 12:30, it's a 90-minute show. March 25th, this coming Saturday, hit me up in Discord, send me a DM. I will put you on a wheel, and for every tier you have, you get on the wheel, right? So if you're a Diet Soda Soldier, you get on the wheel once. Cult Calypso gets on twice. And God of Wars get on 3 times. You do not have to have VR. Just so you know, you can have VR. You can also do it flat screen, right? So it is all major VR headsets work, Vive, Index, HP, Quest. I don't think that it works. You have to be tethered to your computer if you're on Quest. I don't think it works on PSVR, but if you have a desktop mode, you can play it on your desktop with everyone else as well. So let me know, hit me up in the Discord, and I will be streaming it, but it will be a stream only for members to watch. So it's an exclusive kind of thing. Could be cool, could be fun. Let me know if you want to be involved. I'm excited. I love stuff like this. The idea that you have NPCs that are actual actors that aren't kind of limited, where you can actually sort of like D&D change the story, but it's in VR or in 3D. That's pretty fucking sexy and cool. So this is coming up. Keep an eye on it. All right. Let's talk about Diablo a little bit. Obviously the beta was this weekend. I thought it was fucking terrific. I just thought it was absolutely great. Cab says, can you go in sexually charged directions? I don't really know. I mean, I let's put it this way. If you're an actor in a show like this, my assumption is you have to be prepared for people who don't take it serious. Like there's always the one in the group that's like, I'm going to fuck this up and see what they do. I'm sure there's, whatever. And maybe there's a point where if it gets too offensive, they just mute your mic. I don't fucking know. I haven't read the terms of service, but we'll see how it goes. I'm looking forward to it. Okay. So yes, Diablo 4 beta was this weekend. I played it. I put up a video, which I took down after about 10 minutes because I felt wrong about it, which was, and this video is up, another video is up right now about my initial thoughts, which is the opening hour of this game. I was really bored by. And I was, a lot of people in the chat that were watching me stream it live were like, oh, it looks boring. It looks terrible. And I was like, I know Morgan was saying that, CR was saying that. And I was like, yeah, give it a chance. But by the time I got to the end of it, I was like, yeah, this is just boring. This is just really slow and boring and monotonous. But somewhere around 45 minutes to 60 minutes in, and this is a problem with the game, by the way. We can talk about this, but I do not consider this being a me problem. This is a problem with the increasing need, in my opinion, to open games that have much more engaging openings. Doesn't mean they're action based. Doesn't mean all kinds of crazy fireworks are going off. But if you watch the opening of Diablo Immortal, it's a nice cutscene at the beginning, and then the rest of it is just very rote. The combat is very dull at first. You talk to a bunch of NPCs that tell you very uninteresting tropey shit, and you're like, oh God, what is this, right? But once it gets going, after about 45 minutes, it is sublime. It is wonderful if you like Diablo. Now, a lot of people don't like Diablo, and I don't think this is going to bring you around if you've never liked it. But if you've even had a somewhat interest in the franchise, it's good people. It's a great deal of fun. It looks great. The sensibilities of the game are bleak and just cold, and it feels like Elden Ring, but a multiplayer isometric Elden Ring in terms of its sort of emotional bent and whatnot. So absolutely fucking love it. Ultra Awesome says Diablo shines in multiplayer in-game, not at the 1 hour single player mark. Come on now, geez. Well, first off, let's be fucking clear. I don't care for multiplayer Diablo. I like, running around. Sometimes a couple weeks ago or months ago, I ran around in Immortal with Rob and Spaz and I think Random Moose Brain or something. And that's fun. But I don't want to go into an arena. I don't want to fight. I like the adventure of Diablo or Grim Dawn or what's the one? It's not Torchwood, is it? They had two of them that were more cartoony looking. I really like soloing these games and just getting lost in the adventure and stuff. The combat is basic, Artemis. Yeah. I mean, I think if you're looking for, Elden Ring or even God of War combat, you're not going to find it here. This is really more about resource management. There is a little depth to the combat now. You've got to, figure out when to use which weapons and dodging and, certain energy-based, mana-based weapons. You have cooldowns that you've got to kind of really start to learn the cadence for, and you can get in there and feel great. But it's not like a combat heavy game. No. But if you like it, if you like this kind of game, it is really the best. Highly recommend it. There's an open beta coming out this week. I believe it's free. Like, I got my beta because I pre-ordered the game. I think coming Saturday, Friday, it's open beta. Anybody, even if you haven't pre-ordered, will be able to play it. So, if you're curious, it's on all the systems except Switch, I believe. Give it a try. Something else kind of hit my brain pan a little bit. Everybody's favorite, or one of everybody's favorite sort of online video game personalities from a very long time ago and modern time, Victor Lucas, tweeted this out. I guess he did a video a while back called Top 5 Game Openings. And I know whenever I say this, because a lot of you guys don't trust me because you think I'm a shill for Game Pass or subscription-based services or whatever. But I've said for quite some time, I've made several videos about it, saying that subscription-based services are going to improve games because they're going to create the necessity for designers to make the openings of games and the first hour or so of games compelling and more interesting and more engaging. It doesn't have to be action, but something interesting has to be going on, right? Diablo 4 fails in every way. Diablo Immortal, the cell phone game, kicks the shit out of it in this regard, but different developer too, by the way. But anyway, so Victor says this. He says, just thinking about this topic, I'm feeling that as we get deeper into subscription-based game content, those opening sequences are going to become even more crucially important. Then he just goes on to say, what's your favorite opening sequence in a game? It's absolutely true. It's absolutely true. The minute you have choice, that you haven't gone and purchased a $20 digital game or a $70 game at the store, whatever, and it's just Game Pass or PS Plus. Like, I guarantee you this game coming out, we'll talk about in a minute, Sony's dropping a day one, really well-reviewed game coming up this week, T'Challa or something, which is this kind of big open world, Breath of the Wild-esque experimental explorer kind of thing. It looks cool. It's sitting at an 80 on Metacritic. A lot of people are going to play it more than would buy it. But if they don't engage right away, people are going to wash out. They're going to ring the Navy SEAL bell and say, "Nope, I'm done. I'm done." Yeah, Brett Moore, it's called TCT TCHIA, Chia. I don't fucking know how you say it, but it looks cool. I'll give it a shot. But I think Victor's absolutely right. And these are not service games. A cab says the moment when service games start dominating will be a sad day. Service games have nothing to do with subscription services. They're very different things. Hi-Fi Rush is not a service game, but it is a subscription-based game. So, you know, I think it's a good thing. I'm excited about this. I got to say, I've talked about this a little bit before, but I hear a number of gamers really seem to be defending the developers when it's like if you came to me and said, Jaffe, I really like the slow opening of Red Dead Redemption 2, or I really like the slow lumbering kind of, you know, settle in vibe of The Last of Us Part 2. I don't always agree with that, but I can respect that argument. But the argument of, oh, you just have to give it time. It's your problem, Jaffe. It's not good for the first couple hours, but you're learning the game. Why would you expect it to be? And like, because I'm a customer and I have lots of options for entertainment and places to spend my money. And frankly, a lot of these gamers who argue that line, I think have just gotten used to being abused by the developer and going, well, you paid for it. You got it. You may as well stick it out. We'll make it entertaining when we get to it. But we're going to fucking teach you a bunch of shit first. It's literally like buying a board game. And you're excited to play with your family and you get home and the goddamn thing is filled with instructions you got to read for 2 hours first. Who wants that? Let's get this phone together, see who it is. Hello? Hello? Hi, what's up? This is... Are you a recording or are you a real person? That's what I wanted to know, because I wanted to tell you you're on a live YouTube stream, so I wanted to make sure you knew you were being recorded and I'm putting this out to the world. So I'm not offended. I just wanted to let you know.
I understand.
So what's going on?
Thank you for your time and have a great rest of your day.
Okay, bye-bye. I think that was the cops asking for ducats, which I would give in San Diego. San Diego has a great new service where they like to send out mental health professionals on certain calls instead of cops with guns. I'm a fan. Anyway, okay. Devs have to figure out how to make monotonous onboarding tasks not feel that way while also being captivating. Absolutely, Rogue Radical. 100%. 150 goddamn %. That's the job. That's the fucking job. I'm tired of gamers defending it. I'm tired of gamers acting like, I mean, really think about that. Think if you're one of those gamers, and there are a number of them here in this show, that are consistently defending the practice of unengaging, dull openings or games that aren't fun for 3 hours, but you got to stick with it. I'm not saying they're wrong. If I wouldn't have stuck with Diablo, I would have been missing out on a great game. But I shouldn't have to have done that, right? I mean, you don't go to a movie and if the first 30 minutes are boring, you don't forgive it. You're like, that's a fourth of the movie. I want to be engaged. I gave you my money. Despada says, okay, but this is a different point. See, this is where Despada is getting a little confused. Despada says artists don't appeal to everyone and don't need to do products like that. I think you're misunderstanding me. I am not saying there's a very big difference between a opening slow burn that is meant to engage the audience in a way that maybe X number of percentage of audiences do not want to be engaged with. That's different. That's like, well, it's an art piece. It's meant to be slow and evocative. And I want you to do this. And I want you to think about this and that and the other while you're simply walking. Like if there's an intent behind the design choice, and that intent is the artist is trying to express something, succeed or fail, that's irrelevant. I support it. That's different than a developer just not having the training enough or the mindset to go, I want to engage the player, even if it's slow burn, right from the beginning. So this is not an ADD thing. This is not I need action. It's got nothing to do with that. It's got nothing to do with that. It's got everything to do with the fact that game developers have become lazy about their openings. And it's a crutch, and subscription-based gaming is going to blow the fuck away of those crutches, and they're going to be left to stand on their own, and they better fucking be prepared. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm fucking saying. All right. Hey, I agree with you. GT5 had a great opening. Agree. Okay. Listen, fellas, I want to tell you, everybody's talking Diablo, and I get it. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. Oh, it's brilliant. It's a brilliant execution of a very grilled cheese sandwich rainy day gay. A rainy day gay. You know what I need? It's raining. Send the rainy day gay in. I'd like to talk to him about some things. It's a perfect example of what I call a grilled cheese sandwich game, and Rob the mod calls a rainy day game. But it's executed brilliantly. Yeah, Ultra Awesome says it's a rainy gay day. Exactly. Yeah. Listen to me. Shut up. Listen. But it wasn't the only really. I mean, think about this. Diablo 4 came along and sucked all the oxygen out of the room, but there was a great. Oh, I have to. Okay, I'm going to put this on the screen. I don't want to forget. I have to tell you a story about Grindr. Did that come up on the screen yet? Come on now. Let me put it here. Maybe it'll come up here. I'll come back to that, Matt. But it wasn't the only beta this weekend. There was a fucking astoundingly excellent beta. I'm sorry, there's a lot of lights and shit going off. I'm getting distracted. I apologize. There was a great beta this weekend that wasn't Diablo. And I played it with the Gavin Games members on Friday, and then I went back and played it Saturday without knowing anyone because I wanted to see what it feels like how much did I enjoy it because I was playing with people I knew and we were communicating and all that. Capcom drops Exoprimal beta. I think it's over now. It will be day one Game Pass. It's idiotic because you have to spend $60 on it unless you are, getting it on Game Pass, I suppose, or you get a free copy. It was great. I absolutely fucking loved this video game. I'm not a big multiplayer shooter guy. I really do love Call of Duty. I love the new Fortnite, but I'm not one of these all I want to do is fucking shoot shit and I care about my kill to death and all that. But this game where you play kind of mech, human-sized Shogun warrior, I don't fucking know, whatever, these kind of mech suit people, and they all have different abilities, very class-based, and then they are sending dinosaurs from the past for you to fight, and it is batshit first off. It is absolutely batshit first off, because I mean there's so many dinosaurs coming out of a hole that it just the hole opens in the sky and just velociraptors come pouring out. It just looks like somebody's projectile vomiting velociraptors. It's awesome. But it is really fun. It's varied. All the characters feel different and good. I recommend if you have Game Pass or they have another beta coming up, keeping a real close eye on this one. I don't know if it's going to do, I don't know if it's going to do well. I just don't know these games anymore. But what I'll tell you is this was a blast. Exoprimal came out really at a bad time for betas because everybody was playing the goddamn cockadoodie Diablo, but it's good people. One more thing about Diablo as it relates to this game that comes out in 2 days. This is crazy. This is crazy. I agree with you. Four Eyes Malone. Four Eyes Malone says, I feel like Exoprimal didn't explain the mode well. It's not true. I agree. I was playing with Rob and I think I know Spaz and maybe it was Random. And between the three of us, and I think Random had played a previous beta, he was able to walk us through it. But you're absolutely not wrong that if you don't have a little bit of that help, you're like, what the fuck is happening, right? So listen, Deceive Inc., which I enjoyed. I played about 4 hours total of it when it was in beta a couple weeks ago. This is launching in 2 days. It's launching for I think it's $30. Or maybe it's more. Maybe I don't know how much it is, but it's a fucking, at least it's a $30 game. And it's a service-based game. It's a multiplayer game. I don't know what in the fuck these people are thinking, right? It's absolutely ridiculous. When I thought it was a free game, okay, it's $20 is philosophy. When I thought it was a free game, I was like, I like it a lot, but I can't see this working. It's asking a lot on the part of the player that's used to something a lot simpler, which doesn't mean it's not good. It was good. It was compelling. But are you out of your goddamn mind? You want people to pay for this? That's not going to happen. I just don't understand unless they drop it on Game Pass or PS Plus or whatever, which is currently not announced. But anyway, here's the point as it relates to Diablo, and then we'll get off all these betas. But it's been a crazy fucking weekend, man. It has been, the last 2 weeks have been so great for free shit. In terms of just trying out all these new games. It feels like E3 on your computer. I love it. But listen, I'm not saying do this with Diablo, okay? Because Diablo has already established what it is. I get people would be up in arms about it, okay? But, by the way, Mr. K wants to know, Jaffe, how did it feel winning an Oscar for The Whale? It felt pretty good, but tell your mother that I need it back. I'm tired of her using it as a fucking vibrator. Plus, it smells like cheese and fecal paste. So please have her wash it off before she brings it back to me. I would appreciate it. Listen, but the idea that Diablo 4 shut down at noon today, and I got in my last couple licks trying to get up to 25 level. I got to 22, and that's it. And now it's coming back next week. Right, for open beta, and your stats will roll over. Your stats won't roll over for the full game. And I just started thinking, I mean, we've talked about this a little bit before, but remember when Netflix came out? Again, Diablo doesn't need this, right? But something like Exoprimal might, something like Deceive Inc. might, and I don't know if the business model would work. But remember when Game of Thrones, House of Cards came out for Netflix, and it was really the first time any service had ever dropped everything so you could binge it immediately. And that was the standard way to do it for a couple years until these services started feeling, wait a minute, people are watching what they want and then unsubscribing, right? So that's why now Mandalorian's once a week, and Last of Us is once a week, and Apple TV drops 2 a week, but it stretches it out for at least 3 months of your subscription if you like the show. I wonder about that. I wonder about that model for a game like Deceived or like Exoprimal, right? If I know you're going to hate this, but pretend it's not Diablo. But if Exoprimal came out and Exoprimal is like, look, we run every weekend and we run Wednesday nights, and that's it. And so absence makes the heart grow fonder. I know you don't have as much time to spend money, but a lot of these games that are great can't survive 24/7 up against the behemoths of the world. It can't survive against the Fortnites yet, maybe eventually. But to have a game that every weekend is packed and people are spending money and then they're anticipating next week, it's not like a TV show in that it's not episodic. It's a little different, right? Because episodic would mean that, the second week is a brand new thing. It would still be, you could start the game at any time during the week or during the open existence of the game on the weekend at any place you want, depending on where you're at. But it would just be available to play at those times, like a play or like a movie with times, right? I'm throwing it out there. Because it seems a real shame that games like this, Exoprimal, and games like this, Deceive, which are genuinely good games, are going to probably just get forgotten about very, very quickly. And I just wonder, given how I'm feeling about Diablo, which is like, hey, I really can't wait to play it again next week. I like that it's kind of gone now. I'll play other things. I'll do other things. But hey, this weekend, Diablo's back, right? I think that's kind of cool. Am I the only one that thinks this is a good idea? Like, if the business model could work, if the economics could work, do you think this is a good idea or a stupid idea? And let me tell you something else. Whether it's this or whether it's what we talked about last week, where a lot of these games are getting made like off the bat in like, kind of like a Roblox environment or a Fortnite environment, who's just now this week giving people Unreal 5 to make creative mode in Fortnite, which is going to be insane. The tools are great. They're super easy and you can do all kinds of shit. Maybe the games have to launch like that, and if they catch on, then they spend the money. But I don't see how companies can keep spending this kind of money to make these sorts of games when you have no idea what's going to hit and what's not going to hit. There's one guy on NeoGAF that whenever I say this and he happens to catch a show, he's always goes to NeoGAF. I think his name is Min in Boxes, and he has a little goldfish for a icon. And he says, he's always like, all these people that say, there's no way to know if your service-based game is going to work. They just don't understand. It's totally predictable. And I'm just like, dude, maybe you're a genius and everyone else at these video game companies are stupid. But Rumbleverse could have used you. Knockout City could have used you. Drawn to Death could have used you. I mean, all these games that enough people like that they shouldn't have died exactly the way they did. These games coming up, you need to offer your services because these are smart people over there getting paid really well. And they don't think there's a winning formula that every time they step to the plate, it works. Anyway, we'll move on. Retention is key, says Jeeves. Of course. Absolutely. But and onboarding is key. Like, I think a lot of people are going to come into Deceived. I mean, Deceived might be different because you have to pay $20 for it, and in paying for it, you're willing to stick it out a little bit. But I think a lot of people are going to come in to Deceived Inc. and go, oh, I don't know what this is. No, I'm good. And be done with it. Gamers don't like artificial restrictions on games, says Venom Quest. That's why mobile games worth their crappy gems. Nobody likes restrictions on anything, but that's a lot. You create friction, you create a desire to spend money. That's how it works. Otherwise everything would be free. It's one of the reasons, such as it is, I put things behind paywalls because I know people who want it, but don't want to spend the money, don't like it. But enough people do that it motivates people to spend money. So let's move on. I want to answer this question. I don't know if the guy's a troll or not, but I get the question enough. And I'm starting to think I might start doing some videos that are like, frequently asked question videos, because he asked, Jaffe, why do you hate Sony so much? I don't know what else to say about that. So here's what I would say, DX Pones. I would say to you, if you can tell me 2 to 3 specific examples of why you think I hate Sony, I am more than happy to speak to that. But my guess would be that you really aren't going to be able to do that. So let me know. Brett Moore says, isn't that what a vertical slice is for? To see if it works before putting in all that time and money? Well, the problem is, first off, vertical slice, as I first heard it, was a term presented to me in Sony by Mark Cerny. And vertical slice, as it was defined when I was in the industry, was a sliver, a slice, if you will, of a level that doesn't just communicate the essence of what the core game loops are, but also shows, a visual goal, an animation goal. So even though you work out, a lot of things will happen after the vertical slice, you should be able to look at it and really judge it. Well, that's become a lot more difficult now, especially when production budgets are going up, and so much about what a lot of games, at least on console, are, is about production and production value and things like that, right? So if you're talking about a gameplay vertical slice, there are plenty of studios that will do pure gameplay vertical slices. The problem is, and this is what I was saying about Sony needing kind of like a super early access, or like they did with the lab, not just with levels though, but with modes and out and out games for service-based vertical slices. Because you cannot tell until you put it out there for lots of people. I mean, you have no idea the difference that we had 8s and 9s in America and Europe. I literally ordered a new mic from Amazon. Not a new mic, a new cord. Sorry. This should be working. I'm sorry. I don't know where I was when I fell off, but what I was saying is, as it relates to Drawn to Death, we focus tested, play tested Drawn to Death, and we got 7.5s to 9 every single time we play tested that game. Averaged out at about an 8. Okay, that game's at a 56 on Metacritic. Right? We asked people what one of the best parts about the game was, or what do you think about the game's humor? That always rated high. Okay, so we're like, cool, we're set. This is awesome. And it comes out, and one of the things people complained about was the tone, the quote, shitty sense of humor, what have you. So what I'm saying is, you can't do a vertical slice for a service-based game and test it with some people in a focus test setting. You have to put it out into the world and see how sticky it is. And really just see if it connects and people come back. Because, you know, sitting in a play test, look, if I sat in a play test and played Exoprimal, I would say, oh man, it's an 8. It's an 8.5. I really loved it. It was awesome. But if Exoprimal isn't sticky enough, which you can't tell from a play test, if Exoprimal doesn't release frequent updates of content, which you can't tell in a playtest, if the pricing model for Exoprimal is shit for things I want that I have to buy or grind for, that's going to make all the difference on whether or not I come back or not. And you can't tell that in a traditional focus test. The playtesters were not internal, Venom Quest. We had some that were internal, but we went through professional service and they brought in people off the streets and things like that. So no, it was not just some people we knew or anything. No, they didn't even know we were there. Okay. Let us move forward in our, I'm telling you, man, what a time. And what a time. This month is batshit with quality. You know this. Resident Evil 4 is coming out in a couple days. And I'll tell you something. 93 Metacritic is what this goddamn cockadoodie thing is. I'm going to tell you some of all these reviews are mostly glowing. Listen to this. Big Bad Gene Park of the Washington Times, friend of the show, Gene Park. This is his quote. He says, I've had this new version of Resident Evil 4 remake for only a week. And I've already played it through completion 6 fucking times. 6 times! In a week, he's played through it, right? PlayStation Lifestyle says, RE4 Remake is a remarkable achievement that walks the fine line between action and horror. Appealing to both old and new fans of the series, Capcom has kept its original essence and expanded on it with beautiful and detailed environments. Deeper gameplay, expanded gameplay, deeper character development. IGN gives it a 10 out of 10. They say RE4 Remake is the series' most relentlessly exciting adventure, rebuilt, refined, and released to the full extent of its enormous potential. So it's mostly glowing and loved. That said, though, some of the criticisms did ring true for me based on my experience with the demo. The criticisms aren't bad. I mean, it's the lowest score is a 7 out of 10. Destructoid gave it a 75. They say, in 2005, I liked RE4, didn't love it. The remake hasn't changed that. Unlike RE2 remake, which was revolutionary, which I loved as well, and 3, RE4's glow up is more of a faithful recreation rather than an overhaul. It changes just enough that if you love the original, I can't guarantee this will leave you unperturbed, if you didn't like the first one, it's not impossible that this will change your mind. The best I can say is it is an earnest effort at recapturing the magic, and it's worth checking out. It remains, as it always was, maddeningly inconsistent. So most of the negative stuff is basically saying it's pretty much RE4. It's got some cool twists and changes and things like that, but it's RE4. And, you know, when I played the demo, and I will be buying this day one and streaming it the minute it's live, I am very excited for it, but I did feel that. I also had that, you know, to deny that I think is foolish, because RE2 remake and 3 remake were such deviations from the actual things they were remaking that they were in essence a brand new game. But this feels, if the demo is anything to base it on, like, oh, you know exactly what this is, and it's great and it's cool, but you've already got it. You know what I mean? Eddie T says RE4 remake and Metroid Prime remaster prove that games used to be much better. You really have to go out of your way to find good games now compared to then. I don't agree you have to go out of your way, because I think those games exist. But if you're talking about sort of big budget games, yes, you're absolutely right. But I mean, you know, what do you want, right? Everybody wants the graphics and the production value. That's the price you pay. You got to put in all this shit into the art. You always had to think about commercial appeal. It wasn't like you could make anything back in the day, but your core game design, once you had some money in the door, was about pleasing the player. Now it's about pleasing and squeezing the player, right? As much as you can without turning them off. So it's not that I think the game companies got stupid. I don't think these people who make games today, I certainly wouldn't, if I worked in AAA, want to sit around and think about, okay, what is post-life launch? What is, you know, how do we keep you in this world? How do we do this? How do we do that? Because there's plenty of AA games and indie games that are one and dones that have that same mentality of games like they did back in the day. But you want the graphics of RE4 and you want the graphics of Dead Space remake, I think those are going to get fewer and further between. To Capcom's credit, it doesn't seem to be a lot you have to spend money on. And nothing once you're playing the game of RE4. Same with Dead Space. But that is more of an exception to the rule these days. Okay. But I'm excited. I'm very, very excited for it. I'm looking forward to it. There are some critics that are complaining that the remake abandons, like the first RE4 kind of abandoned the horror more than people were comfortable with. And people are now saying, who reviewed it, not negatively, but gave it a 7. They're saying, well, that's even more. If you didn't like how the horror went like a dodo in RE4 from RE3, it's the same sense of like, it's even more actiony and less horror based. But I enjoyed the demo. I thought it was great. I wasn't blown away by it, but I thought it was great. Somebody was asking me earlier in the comments, I read them all, baby. Today they said, well, how was God of War development impacted when RE4 came out? And I honestly don't remember thinking about it. I want to say they both came out so close to each other, and maybe they didn't, but maybe we were so busy finishing God of War that none of us were really playing anything. But I don't remember it ever really hitting our radar. Like Onimusha 3 hit our radar. Devil May Cry hit our radar. We're like, oh shit, what are we going to do? How do we compete? You know, RE4 really was not on our radar, but it may have just had to do with release timing and us working on the game and at a time and whatnot. But look, I have said over and over, we got Game of the Year that year, but that's only because Capcom did not submit RE4 for the DICE Awards. And thank God, because we would have absolutely lost easily. Instant Messenger, thank you for the big super chat, buddy. I appreciate it. He say, I'm not having a stroke. I'm just talking fast. Jaffe, should the RE5 remake support the story co-op aspect? Yeah, sure. I mean, I haven't played RE5, but I know what you're talking about. I would say, of course, it should support it. I just think, you know, RE5 is one of those, it's not very beloved like 2 and 3 and 4 are, or 1 is. I'd rather see him go back and remake 1 like 2 than 5 and 6, because 4, A, because it's earned it, and B, because it was one of the first to take RE into that direction, has a special place in people's hearts. 5 and 6 are pretty polarizing. And if you're already at a 7 out of 10 because you look at RE4 remake, remaster, whatever, and go, it's brilliantly done, but it's more of what I've already played, you're going to have a worse sense of that with 5 and 6. So I don't know, man. I don't know if I would fuck around with those. I would go back to 1. Somebody said Veronica. I didn't play what's the one on a cruise ship? There's 2 of them, Revelations or something. I would go back to the sort of fixed camera ones and give all of those the RE2, RE3 remake. That sounds exciting. But doing just another RE 5 or 6 like 4, I'm not all that interested, is what I would say. Jaffe Genuine Question says, Mr. K, how many stories today that are one save for later at the end of a past stream do you ever actually bring up, or do you never get back to them? The answer is it depends, right? If a story is saved until later, it's one of 2 reasons. One is I think I'm going to have the pacing of the show right, and I'll get to it within the 90 minutes or so I like to keep the shows at. And I'm like, holy shit, that's far away. And if I start that, we're going to go way over, and I'm going to miss a bunch of smaller stories I want to talk about. The other is it's like, yeah, that's cool, but that's like a filler story. And so it really depends on the news of the day. You know, I have a story I've been holding about some really cool stats that have come out recently about marriage and video games and the rate of divorce and the rate of marriages staying together as it relates to who plays in the marriage, what they play together. That's not going to make today. But I almost made it today, you know, so it depends on the news of the day. Depends on the news of the day. Code Veronica says ADT will never be remade because it has controversial aspects like cross-dressing that wouldn't fly. Really? I mean, I never finished Code Veronica. I played, you know, no shit. I played for a while. I really enjoyed it. I played on Game Pass, the Dreamcast version, I think. I don't know which version I played, but it's on Game Pass. And I enjoyed it. But is it cross-dressing like it's offensive, or cross-dressing like Red States wouldn't like it? I mean, you know, they changed Ashley, what's her name? Baby Eagle or whatever in RE4. They adjusted some of the stuff for modern times. You don't think they could do that with Veronica? Eddie T says the main character calls him a cross-dressing freak. Sure, but you can change that, right? For a remake. I wish you didn't cut the streams off at 90 minutes. They feel so much shorter. Yeah, I know, but I do them every day. And I do a lot of chat interaction. And, you know, John Campia, he says, John Campia streams every day for 90 to 120 minutes. That's daily. Can't you go a bit longer? I'm not if I'm a one-stop shop. John Campia has like help, right? I got to get off the stream. I got to time code it if I can. I got to cut it up and make videos. I got to make separate videos to market it. And then I got to come back and do it the next day. So no, I'm not going to be making them longer right now, but I'd love to, but I can't right now. Sorry. You wanted to know about the Grindr story real quick, all, you know, as it relates to video games. I've never been on, a dating service, right? I just haven't. People have always said bad things about them, and I like to meet people in different ways when I'm actually looking, and I'm not always looking. And I have a gay brother who is on Grindr, or was on Grindr at the time. This was, 6 years ago. And I didn't know that Grindr was the gay Tinder. I was just like, oh, it's Grindr, Tinder, Bumblebee, or Plenty of Fish, or whatever these fucking things are. So I'm at Bartlett Jones and we're talking about something, and I mentioned Grindr in the context of it being like, oh yeah, maybe I'll get on Grindr, like that. And everybody just looked at me. I'm like, what? I can get on a dating app. And it wasn't until I got home that I'm like, oh shit, that's the gay one, which is fine. I would have no problem if I was gay. But I think a lot of people at Bartlett Jones are now going around to this day going, oh, Jaffe likes the penis. Which again, not a problem. Not a problem. Just not for me. Gravedigger says, consider my pearls thoroughly clutched. Yeah, that's the story. That's the story. That's all I got. Hire Dustin from Last Stand Media. Hey man, look, if there's a Dustin like out there, I don't know if you guys heard, Colin did a great interview with Patreon, more of a behind the scenes about the business and things like that. And he talked about finding Dustin, who really was able to come in and be the first employee and really sort of step up, you know, their output and their quality. So if there's a version out there and you're watching and you think you could be the Dustin to Gavin Games, I'm no Colin Moriarty, but look, I mean, I'm in. But it's got to be somebody that can come to me and say, here's what I can provide, and it's pretty cool, and it's I can really do something with what you're doing. It's not just like going online and going, oh, I need a producer. There's a dime a dozen. But I need somebody that kind of, you know, plenty of people have offered to help Mr. K, and it's never anything like, here's exactly what I want to do. It's like, you got to come to me with a plan. You got to come to me and say, here's what I can do with you. Because otherwise, you know, I'm just going to keep doing it myself. Like Kill Corridor says right here. I mean, great Kill Corridor, but that doesn't do shit for me. Mr. K says you need to outline what you need. No, I don't. I have ADD is what I have, which means I have always done well with producers that come on board and say, I can take your engine, which is great, but it's fucking crazy. And let's do this, 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 and this. And then we collaborate on how to grow. Fucking tell me what I need. If I have to sit down and tell somebody what I need, I might as well do it myself. I don't know what I need. I just need this Diet Coke. Shut the fuck up. Fuck you, Mr. K. Fuck you, Mr. K. And Jeeves says, I'm a good writer. I can wrote good. I bet you do. Okay. Listen to this. Now, I have not finished Last of Us HBO. I like it. I'm not against it. You hate Sony. No. I watched up to episode 3. Really liked it. A great deal. But I just, you know, I got busy with other things. And I'll get back to it, I think, maybe. But there's nothing bad about it. There's nothing bad about it. I'm laughing at Elias says, do you need a mascot? I can be a mascot. Marco, thank you for the super chat. He says, hola, hello, right back, good sir. But anyway, Brett says, make the cleaning lady produce. She'd probably be good at it. Listen to me. Last of Us director Neil Druckmann says, hey, you want to know what's coming up with season 2? You want to know about Abby? Not a problem, pal. Here you go. Here's Abby will be in season 2. It looks like. It looks like that is Neil Druckmann letting you know that Abby's on the way. And she looks pretty buff. So people who were like, I hope she's not buff. Shut the fuck up. That's what the character is. That's what the character is. She's a woman who got her fucking body in shape to survive in the goddamn apocalypse. What do you want her to look like? Fucking Belle Delphine? That's the story. I love Florence Pugh. Eric Lennon says Florence Pugh for Abby. If she gets in shape, sure. But Florence, and she's great. And the other one they're talking about is Chloe Grace Moretz, whatever. She's great in that Peripheral show on Amazon. I love her. But the idea that you know, but I'm glad they're going to get into this part of the story. We'll see what happens. Secret tumor. It says secret tumor. No, secret. I don't fucking know. Some guy with the name Secret says she's on something. Probably. Who the fuck wouldn't be in that world? Give me everything I can have. Mr. K has been a member for 19 months. Thank you, buddy. You know I appreciate it, you stupid fucking moron. He says, fuck you. No, sir, go fuck yourself. Fuck yourself and your mother with the goddamn lawnmower, you son of a bitch. I appreciate it, buddy. You know I love you to death, but I'm going to kill you in your sleep. Okay, so people are like, what's wrong with him? What's wrong with him? There's so much stuff on the internet that would incriminate me. Not because I did anything wrong, but people don't understand my sense of humor. My kid and her friend were at the mall today, and my kid doesn't drive yet. And she says, "Hey, Dad, can we give my friend's name money for gas?" Because, you know, she's always driving the kids around. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I said, "Give me your Venmo." She gave me her Venmo, and I sent her I sent her money to say, "Hey, go fill up your card. Thanks for taking care of the kids." And I said in the little thing on Venmo, when you say, "What is this for?" I said, "It's for dope and puppets." And I spelled puppets with the Z. I, of course, thought this was the height of comedy and also charming. But there are going to be people out there one day, if I ever get into a court case, and they say, "What is this about sending money to this girl for drugs?" What? What? Jeffy, isn't this a game show? What are you talking about? Fuck you. Shut the fuck up. See, this is the thing, fellas. Tomorrow, America's gonna go up in flames. Who knows what would her parents say? Her parents know I'm joking. I'm charming. It's part of my charisma. When you look like I do, you gotta get an 18 roll in charisma, and thank God I did. Thank God I did. Listen to this. Speaking of Last of Us, though. Well, yeah, I don't like digital. I want to own things. That's everybody but Eddie Torres, a God of War member. I would never make fun of a God of War member. Eddie buys everything. But this is pretty good. This is pretty good, though. If you like to buy the things, The Last of Us Season 1 is coming out this summer on 4K UHD Blu-ray and DVD. And there's a lot of good features. Back in the day, man, that's why I love DVD. Because you could have all kinds of behind-the-scenes shit, and they kind of stopped doing that. But they got all these great features and featurettes in The Last of Us. So if you're into it, it'll cost you anywhere from $40 to $50 to $25, depending on which version you want. Give it a look. Give it a look. If you're interested in such things, get it at Amazon, get it wherever you want. Last of Us is coming out very, very soon. Rob says people still buy DVDs. Sure. I mean, DVDs, man, were fucking massive. I mean, they can't, I mean, you guys are younger, but I was there when there were, yeah, okay. I'll be right there at quiet time. He says, David, come back to bed. I'll be there in a minute, buddy. I'm busy. Yeah, I was there when there was no VHS, and then VHS came, and it was brilliant. Growing up in the days of VHS at its heyday was fucking brilliant. And then overnight, DVD came and pretty much wrecked the fuck out of VHS. So it doesn't surprise me that DVD is still hanging in there. Ultra Awesome says, Last of Us TV show got everyone I watched with it sobbing uncontrollably. Amazing experience. Look, when you have Jimmy Kimmel at the Oscars literally talking about The Last of Us on the stage in a roundabout way as it relates to Pedro Pascal, you know they've got a mainstream hit, which is just awesome. I mean, I still say Last of Us 2 is a different story. I still say Last of Us 1. Now, any story well told can become better than its source material. I loved The Last of Us 2. I thought The Last of Us 1 was very been there, done that. But clearly, Neil and the Chernobyl guy were able to take that and turn it into something, even though there's a lot of tropes in it that really is heartfelt and people love, which I think is great. Kenneth Satter White, thank you, buddy. He's been a member for 2 months. The Diet Says Soldier says, load that pipe with some bud already. This, I don't think this is a real one. This is like a replica pipe, maybe. I got like 20 of these fucking things. I love them all. This I got from Gaz over at the Sauce. You know Gaz from the UK? They're custom. One has Jaffe on it, and the other has the tree, Sweet Tooth on it, and the other has a tree from the Lord of the Rings. So, but I'm kind of off the dope for the moment. I mean, I like the dope. I'm not like, I'm not opposed to it. I just haven't done it in a while. Okay. You've never seen me smoke weed before? Come to a pot and popcorn, baby. You remember I smoke it all the time. Smoke it all the good goddamn cockadoodie time. Venom Quest says, Last of Us TV, it was a hit, but it wasn't as good as everyone says. People like it because it's worthy. I think if you're throwing that accusation on video game fans, you may be right. But I guarantee you, the people that are talking about it or that are watching it that don't even own a video game console, they're not going, I don't love it as much as I say I am, but I want people to think there's a worthy shit. I don't, it's transcended the gaming culture now. And I think in that, they don't really have that mentality about these things. Okay. Earlier in the day in the show, we talked about, now look, I know members of the Spider-Man team and the Wolverine team watch this show, but they don't tell me shit, and I appreciate it. It's not my job to spoil their secrets. But one of the secrets I'd love to have spoiled, and we talked about this earlier, is a live stream session that Insomniac did on their Twitch channel earlier. Lead engine programmer Elon Ruskin, I don't know who that is, revealed the studio's next game, likely Marvel's Spidey 2 and possibly even Wolverine, will feature some, quote, very cool dialogue technology. That's it. That's the story, right? There is nothing else. It's no one, and then this goes on to talk about, and then, nothing. It's irrelevant. What new dialogue tech is, though, is the real question. Obviously, your mind goes, if you're like me, to like, oh, Chat GPT or whatever. I mean, obviously, you don't have a keyboard interface. You don't want an action game like any of the games Insomniac makes to be loaded down with like, hey, you can, whatever you say is Miles Morales or Wolverine, NPCs will respond to. It's like you're going to fucking kill your pace with something like that. So maybe what it means is some kind of AI. It doesn't have to be like Chat GPT or anything, but maybe in the same way that it was either I think it was Miles or Spider-Man 1 where they first kind of changed. They had a number of lines based on his exertion, right? Remember that? Like when he was doing a lot of swinging and he answered the phone while he was swinging, he'd be out of breath. But if he answered the same call when he was walking or sitting on a rooftop, it was a different recording. Maybe it's something more like that, right? Maybe it's something more like where we can even push that more. So now the NPCs can respond to you based on what they've seen you doing or based on, which missions or the costume parts. Maybe it's that. I don't think it's like you can put your own quips in for Spider-Man. Can you imagine? But I love these games that they make. I love Insomniac games. I love Miles. I love Spider-Man. So any news is good news coming out as long as the game is trucking along, which we know it is. So we'll see what it actually means. Sad Khan says, my guess is it could be dialogue for NPCs so it doesn't get repetitive. It could be. I mean, if you could make something, okay, if you could close your eyes and think about Spider-Man and how dialogue works, like people are like, dialogue tree. It's like, well, dialogue tree is not new technology, right? So I don't really think that's what they're talking about. I mean, who cares? But maybe it's AI. I mean, everything's AI. It's a video game, right? But maybe it's some kind of semi-procedural narrative generation or spoken word generation for NPCs because they're using AI voice and not live actors for the NPCs. And maybe it is a more situational based thing that could be interesting, so I don't know if you go into, Aunt May's house, she's dead. But if you go into Aunt May's house and she's live and you start punching things and stuff, it's not just a canned response. Maybe I don't know. I'd have to really think about it. I'd have to think about it. But I don't know what it is. But I'm interested. I'm certainly interested. And I know some key members, like I said, watch the stream. So maybe they'll reach out and say, you guessed it, or you have no fucking clue. We're talking about fuck you. We'll see. We'll see. Look at this. Starfield has been rated, which kind of sort of gives credence to the idea. Well, no, because this is September 9th. There was a rumor this was going to come out sooner, but the fact that they feel comfortable enough when you submit your game to a rating board, which I think slowly but surely is going to be just like comic books. I think the ratings board is going away in the next 5 years, just like it did with comics, because most things are bought digital now. So I think what you'll end up having are the publishers that rate the games, but we'll see. But anyway, when you submit your title, it's content locked, right? You're going to polish it. You're going to, fix the frame rate. But the idea of submitting it and then suddenly you add a quest or you change dialogue lines or this or that or the other, that you can't really do. That was always with us. We always had to make sure that in Drawn to Death, we're like, Drawn to Death rating is an M for all the training single player stuff. But we can't tell you what the online stuff is going to be yet because we don't know if we're going to make any more, right? So this seems like they're really close. Well, here's what they said. They gave it in Australia. The strongest classification for games is what they gave it for interactive drug use. Means that in Australia, it's restricted to 18 and over. I don't know how strict they are with that. Like in America, nobody cares. But Australia's R18 rating is commensurate to the M rating in America and PEGI 18 in Europe. Starfield's drug use is what drove the rating to R18 plus, with his depiction of being classified as high impact. Beneath that, there was violence, which was strong impact. Nudity was very low level impact, which means maybe there isn't any. Starfield's rating is stronger, meaning harsher than Fallout 4, which got an MA 15. Drug use in that game, which I think it says I didn't play many of those games, but in that game you can be addicted to jet, which is a drug. They gave it a moderate impact. So I don't know what they're doing with drugs in this fucking thing. But my personal fantasy is, and I don't believe this is true, but I love the, as I've said numerous times, the sort of promise that we hear Bethesda talk about, the sort of Arthur C. Clarkean aspect of the big questions and why are we here and what is man's purpose and all that stuff that they say the game will have. Well, when you take that and you merge it with drugs, come on. I mean, then we're talking, it's like, my mind runs wild. I don't have any evidence of this, but I would love it. But then you're talking DMT and it's like, oh, humanity has this, part of our brain that a drug will release at the right time to let us commune with the stars and all this shit. I mean, that's the kind of stuff I love when it comes to science fiction. And so obviously if you're like, okay, this game's going to go harder with drugs than Fallout 4, where you could get addicted to drugs, and that was only given an MA 15, I'm excited, but I don't know what it means though. Blue Gamer says like altered states. Exactly. Controller Sport says drugs in space are like peanut butter and jelly. Absolutely. That's right. That's absolutely right. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Steam has lots of AO games. They do. And they also, Lust from Beyond for movie games was an AO game. But again, most of those games are sold digitally, right? They did put out a version of Lust from Beyond on consoles, but they had to cut a lot out to get an M rating. And I think they got an M rating on one of the consoles, but maybe Sony wouldn't even let them release the M rated version of it. So, but I think that becomes less and less relevant the more it really becomes more digital. Except, I guess that's a good point though. In the case of Sony and Microsoft, they're still not putting a lot of AO shit on their consoles. So who knows? Who knows? Nintendo allows porn games on Switch, says Eddie T. I've kind of heard that. I don't really know specifically what you're referring to, but sure. Listen to this. It's been over a year, a little over a year. Mr. K says, I want AO games for fuck's sakes. You can get them. They're not going in. Go get them on the goddamn computer, man. What do you mean? Oh, you're going to play them? Rob says he's booting up Diablo Immortal. Oh, I'm saving it for next week. I'm just going to wait. I got to finish Elden Ring. I'm so close. Speaking of Elden Ring, Elden Ring came out about 13 months ago. Big, one of the best. It's my favorite game of all time, probably. But today, Bandai Namco, who published the game, says, hey, this has been a big fucking hit, and we want to give you some stats. I love stats and infographics and all this bullshit. Let me tell you what they said. Here's what they released. The top 5 boss attempts. 6 billion attempts have been made to kill bosses. Number 5, I don't really even understand. Alexa, stop. I guess I don't understand this stat now. Because it says number 5 is Star Scourge, which is the really cool boss fight you fight out in the desert. And that has 139 million battles. Number 4 is Radagon of the Older Order. I don't know if I've fought in that person yet. Number 3 is Limegrave Tree Sentinel, which is like the first gatekeeping of the game. Number 2 is Margit the Fell Omen. And then number 1 is Melina. And that has more. So I don't know if they're saying that these bosses have... I guess they're saying that the lower ones are easier. So like Star Scourge, out of all the bosses in the game, was the 5th most difficult one. But the most difficult one was Melina. Okay. Causes of death. 15% status effects like poison, sleep, whatever. 14% falling to death. 2% by another player. 69% die by enemies and NPCs. Makes sense. Top 5 spells cast. Number 5 was Rotten Breath. Great Blade Flanks. Number 4, number 3, Glintstone Pebble. These are all very early spells. Crystal Torrent, number 2. Number 1 is Rock Sling. Top 5 incantations, which is kind of the fire sorcery. Bestial Vitality, Flame on Frenzy, Golden Vow. Number 2 is Bestial Sling. Number 1 is Blessing of the Erd Tree. So there you go. Malinia. Oh, Jesus. These fucking names. Fuck you. It's Malinia. I don't give a fuck. But I finally got, Mimic Tier, and I finally, killed a bunch of the bosses. Now I'm still trying to kill the Fire Troll, but I love it. I fucking love it. And there's some stats for you. You can dive a little deeper into these over at Bandai Namco. Yes, Yakimo GDC Awards this week. We will actually be streaming it on Thursday night. So come watch and hang out with us. Yeah, I finally got the Mimic Tier. But look, here's the reason why when you fight Star Scourge, it sounds like a fucking transformer, there's that big crater that gets left behind. And all it was I, spent a lot of time fighting Star Scourge. Wasn't that hard. And then I turned it off, went and did something else, didn't come back to the game for a couple of weeks. And when I came back, I had forgotten about the crater. So most people probably, the minute the crater is there, I'm going down there. And that's where you find the Mimic Tier. But for me, I was just like, by the time I came back, I was moving on to other things. So I just kind of forgot. The next From Software game, this is one of those things Mr. K was saying, what about these stories that you say, I'll save that for later? There was actually a great write-up in Kotaku about people who still keep journals of their video games while they game, right? Now, when I was a kid, absolutely, that's what you did, right? But there was no need for it anymore. But this is the first game I've played. I mean, Bloodborne, but I played it with the chat. It's the first game I've played in a long time where I really regret not keeping notes. And thinking that would have not only added to my abilities, but would have added to the fun, because I've probably been given 10 quests in this game. And I'm like, wait, what did that guy want me to do again? Like, there's like the guy that's a wolf that talks and shit. And he's like, go deliver this to this thing and all these crazy fucking, names and shit. And I'm like, okay. And then it doesn't track it for you. So I'm actually looking forward to keeping a journal. I know it sounds so geeky, but I don't care, for the next From Software game. No, there is a great write-up on, I think it's Kotaku. It's Kotaku or Polygon, where they talk about, and they go to a lot of people, and a lot of people, hell, I'll just fucking show you. Because it's really impressive. Kotaku keeping notes, journal. Let's see. Maybe it's Polygon. taking notes makes gaming more fun, right? So I'm not going to show you the video, but there's a video of it. But then people started sending in this guy's thing, images of their own journals that they had kept in games. Like this is one, I don't know what that one's from. This was Oberdin. Look at this guy's. I mean, mine will never look this nice. But I mean, look at this fucking thing, right? I mean, mine will never. This looks like Guillermo del Toro's notebooks, but it's still cool, you know, when you think about it. So I definitely am going to be doing that for the next From game. Let's see if there's any other ones, but do one for Diablo 4. But the thing is, Diablo 4 is like most games, where Diablo 4 keeps you, you know, it's got a great digital assistant. It's like, you know, pause the game or bring up the map and then hit the D-pad to the right. Everything slides over and it's like, here's everything. Here's what you're doing. Here's the quest in this town. You know, so it does it for you. But what's really fun about playing Elden Ring is you're doing it on your own. You're like, it's not going to tell you shit. Which does lead in just a second to our thumbnail topic of the day. Let me get to it. Man, yeah, there's a lot we didn't get to today. There's a lot we didn't get to. That's what I'm saying, you guys. There's just a lot of good content to talk about. All right, I'll tell you what. I'm going to change the thumbnail. And I'm going to make the main topic something else. I'm going to save the video game developers think you're idiots. It's a really interesting story that I read today, and I have a lot of experience with this, and I want to talk about that. So I will bring this on tomorrow's show. But for today, my dear human friends, that has been the gabbing, and that has been the games. I want to remind you to visit all of our wonderful sponsors down below at the link tree. Rotten Tanuki with, good Lord, Day One Patch Kids, brand new characters. I'll show you those tomorrow. The Leadus podcast, we might be doing a really interesting kind of team up. Not sure yet, but they've done some really cool new things. I'll play you tomorrow. I will remember tomorrow Dill's Room because I have all the notes up here. All my tabs are open. I roll those into tomorrow. And depending on if there's any crazy breaking stories, and I'll probably stream early tomorrow because we're all going to be up when we get calls from our loved ones. And they're like, war is broken out in Florida. Am I going to play some Steam demos? Yeah, there's a big Steam spring sale going on right now. And there's also, I think it's like Black Voices. There's a bunch of games from Black developers or primarily Black developer led studios. And there's a bunch of sales and demos of those games over on Steam right now. So if you're looking for something to play, but I probably will be streaming, if I stream tonight, it'll probably be me trying to wrap up Elden Ring. Mr. K dropped super chat. Thank you. He says, you're a bitch. Can't handle one more story. I can handle it fine. I'm just saying that there's a point where, 90 minutes is a good long time, especially if I'm trying to stream every day. Now, I'll tell you what, I may not stream on Friday. That's because I got a really cool opportunity, which you will eventually be able to watch. But I'm not knowing if I'm allowed to tell people what I'm going to be doing on Friday. So, but Monday through Thursday, you will get a Gabbin' and Games. You will get a Gabbin' and Games. I guarantee it. And if you don't, guess what? Well, then you don't, but you probably will. I'm trying to stream every day, Mr. K, but I got so much. Look, your mother is so demanding that by the time I get home, it's like 3 a.m. I'm tired. I need to sleep. If you could fucking satiate your mother on your own, I wouldn't have to do the work. And then I could wake up and I would be refreshed. But alas, somebody's got to do the dirty work. And when I say dirty work, oh, she smells. Okay, fellas, that's been Gabbin' Games for the 20th. Be well, my friends. It's good to see you. It's good to hang out with you. It's good to talk games. Dougie Monroe says, Jaffe, I left a comment on your last stream about survival horror. You know what? I will address that on Gabbin' and Games this week. It was a great comment. I did read it, and I was like, I got to think about that. As soon as I close the stream, I'm going to bring it up on a tab, and I'll make it something we talk about this week. Absolutely. Thank you. It was a very well thought out comment. I just haven't had a chance to do it. All right, fellas, I'll see you soon, and we'll close it out. Fuck it, we'll do it live. Here's Sting with Alex Plox with a little twist metal. Fuck you, Mr. K. I will fucking ignore you. It's not even killing you. If I just ignored you, that would hurt more. You goddamn right. I did not disable super thanks. No. If you've sent me a super thanks and you don't get a response, let me know, because YouTube's terrible about alerting people on super thanks. Also, don't forget, if you want to be in the running for this virtual reality play, I have 3 tickets I'm giving away. 4 tickets, actually. That's coming up this Saturday at 11 o'clock California time. You don't need VR. You can do flat screen PC or VR. And it's going to be really weird. It may be awful, but it's going to be memorable. So if you want to watch it, you need to be a member. And if you want to be included as one of the free tickets I'm giving away to participate, you also need to be a member. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can go back to the beginning of the show, but I'll just give you a link right now so you can do a little research and know what in the goddamn cockadoodie hell I'm talking about. It's the meta movie. I'd love to team up with, look, hang on, here you go. There it is right there. So hit me up on Discord if you want to be put in the running for a free ticket coming up this Saturday. Ultra Awesome says, Jaffe, team up with Moriarty. I'd love to. I love talking to those guys, but I need them way more than they need me. So I'm there when they call. And if I ever call them and say, hey, Colin, let's talk about this. He seems to always be available, which I'm very grateful for. But if he feels his brand and his company's brand makes sense for him and I to talk more frequently, I would welcome that. But that's really not for me. I'm low man on the totem pole in this world of streaming right now. And so I'm, I don't want to make someone uncomfortable who I consider a friend to have to tell me no, basically. Did you ever get an invite from Colin to be on the Last of Us podcast? Jake, no, I didn't, but I'm not surprised. I stopped watching it after the 3rd episode. All right, fellas, I'm done. Yes, I have seen people Buzzati making games with ChatGPT, and today they just put out their ChatGPT Roblox code, and you're able to go into the scripting language and use English to basically script. It's wild. Go look it up on YouTube. All right, I'm out. See you soon. Bye, everybody. Thank you again.